What have you been jamming out on the electric guitar? What have you been playing?
I've been playing some Avenged Sevenfold. It's my favorite band. I've been trying to learn the entire one of their albums. I've been trying to learn the entire thing because my problem is when I learn music, I kind of like learn one part and I'm like, oh, okay, that's good enough. I never learned the entire song because I never challenged myself. So now I'm challenging myself to learn the entire album. I got two songs down already.
There's a lot of hand agility that's required when you play the guitar. Would you say
Yeah.
playing the guitar kind of helps the hand and strengthens the fingers and
Oh,
helps
it
you
does.
with what happens as a boxer?
It does. And honestly, like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like guitar is harder than boxing. I'm not gonna lie. I still got a ways to go on here.
That's okay. The journey begins with one step. And so, you have multiple guitars, so you're getting there. So, beginning, Virgil Ortiz Jr., who is not a junior for real. I saw you tweet that the other day. Tell me the story of junior, not a junior.
Well, I was born on my birth certificate. It's the second Virgil, middle name Ortiz the second. I don't want to say I don't like my middle name,
Mhm. Me
but
neither. I don't like mine.
yeah, I don't like it at all. But so the whole junior thing, I guess, in the boxing world, it's senior and junior. You never hear the first or the second. Although my dad's not really the first. I don't know why I'm the second. We just kind of skipped the whole senior, junior, and first, second process. I'm legally the second, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm going to start referring to you from now on. Virgil Ortiz, every single time you fight, I'm going to make a
All
point of saying Virgil Ortiz, the written out the second, not even the two eyes, just the
right.
second.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. And the reason why I was really intrigued in talking to you is we have young men like you who are rising through the ranks in the welterweight division. The welterweight division is undeniably the most talented division currently. And looking at the struggles of the top of the division, then you have gentlemen like you and Boots Ennis and these guys who are competitive and are right on that cusp. I wanted to discuss with you what it's been like for you to try to continue moving in that direction towards a championship when there's the struggles of the pandemic that are affecting the top of the division and their abilities to make fights. How has this time affected your journey towards getting to the top and get in being able to land these big fights that you want?
I mean, of course, I would have liked to fight a lot more. I feel like it would have pushed my career a little bit more. But I feel like we're not losing too much time. I feel like I'm young. I have a lot of time to do what I want to do anyways. I'm not on like these champions right now. A lot of them waited till they were like 26 or 27 to start upping their competition to start going for world championships. I'm trying to do it at 22. So I mean that in itself, I'm like 4 years ahead of them, even with this time loss with the pandemic. So I'm not too worried about it. I have faith in Golden Boy on getting me fights, and I feel like that they're pushing me right. They're putting me on the right path.
Mhm. When you look at your past resume, I looked at your last four wins that you won by knockout: Sam Vargas, Brad Solomon, Antonio Roscoe, Mauricio Herrera. And I've been very intrigued by your social media, by your Twitter. And you mentioned that you had fought better competition within your current record than a lot of these top guys has fought. What do you think is your best win of those four knockouts? They're all great wins, but which one challenged you?
I think my best win, not necessarily I learned a lot from it, but I think people started finally like seeing that, I'm here, that I'm the real deal, was the one against Mauricio Herrera. I mean that was kind of self-explanatory. It was my best win for me, especially because I was on the Canelo. I was the co-main event for Canelo, and that meant a lot to me in itself. I like the win against Brad Solomon because there's a lot of people saying that I've only fought people who stay in the pocket and just move forward to fight with me. He was moving around almost the entire time. I had to catch him, and the times he did stop in front of me, I forced him to. I'm hitting him to the body. I'm making him cover up. There's you can only move around for a certain amount of time. And I forced him to make that time even lower.
Mhm.
Um, Samuel Vargas, he's been in there with Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, some of the top guys. A lot of people say that, oh, he was like a bum or whatever. I don't say any fighter's a bum at all. Yeah, I think I respect all fighters that get in the ring, especially with me. And you know what? they fought um Samuel Vargas when they were like 26, 27. You know, they already had a lot of fights. I think Danny already had over 25 fights. I fought him when I had 15 fights. So I feel like I'm taking on challenges that they took at a way later time in their career, and I'm taking that challenge early in line.
Mhm. It's always been the nature of a young fighter to fight an older fighter, an experienced fighter. It's par for the course. You're no exception. Every fighter has taken that path.
I'm sure I'm not the only fighter that's getting backlash for some of the opponents I've gotten. But I feel like I'm one of the only prospects, not prospects, maybe like people at my age are getting hate for it, I guess, because obviously like there are fighters at my age that are taking that long route, waiting to become champion at 25, 26. But as for me, I've already stepped up in competition. I'm not sure like how many wins and losses, like the total wins and losses of the past five opponents have been for me. But I mean, I guarantee it's probably better than everyone around my age group. And it's not necessarily I'm being singled out. It's just the fact that I feel like I'm doing way more than them, but I'm still getting the same treatment, I guess.
What are the critiques that you hear about yourself that you think are unfair?
I that I mean, obviously, I'm fighting bums. I'm fighting like tomato cans. I guess this is coming from their mouths. And it's a little disrespectful on their end because, like I said, their boxers are putting their lives on the line. But I mean, just stuff like that. I can't really think off the top of my head right now. I read a lot of them all the time, but yeah.
And these are critiques from fans or other fighters. Do you find that your peers who
Oh,
actually understand the business have the same critique for you, or is this strictly from fans
it's
or
it's
observers?
It's strictly from fans, and I mean, I get it. They're fans, I see it all the time. So I don't take it too close to heart. I know eventually I'm gonna step up and show them that what I really can do. So I don't take it to heart.
Absolutely. I was looking at the top of the division, the names that always come up in the welterweight division. I know you're ranked number 5 by the WBC. And I was looking at, so we have Spence, Porter, Thurman, Garcia, Crawford, Pacquiao. Of those guys, who do you think are the top 3 of the division currently?
Well, I would say for sure the champions, Crawford, Spence, and Pacquiao.
Okay, so Spence Crawford, 1A, 1B, 1 and 2. How do you rank those two guys?
I don't know. I mean, if I had to base it off of their last performances, even then it would be even. Crawford knocked out Kell Brook. Kell Brook has been stopped before by Triple G. He was like way bigger than him,
Mhm.
and he had a broken eye socket, and Errol stopped him too, but it was kind of the same problem, and he was a little bigger than him, but Crawford stopped him because he legit hurt him. Like he was almost out on his feet. That was the first time that Kell Brook had been stopped like that. So that's a big statement from Crawford, and from Spence. Spence he was the first guy to beat Danny Garcia convincingly. Thurman and Garcia, that was a very close fight. And no, not Spence. Danny Garcia and Porter, that was also a really good close fight. But Spence versus Danny Garcia, that was, I mean, I'm pretty sure no one thought that Danny Garcia won. That was the first time that anyone had convincingly beat Danny Garcia. So I think that especially coming after the car crash, that means a lot in itself as well. That was his very first fight. He could have easily took up a tune-up fight, but
Mhm.
he said, "No, I'm going to fight Danny Garcia. Possibly one of the hardest hitting welterweights, today." So I give him credit for that as well. So really, it's kind of even. I really can't lean towards one side yet.
What do you think is in your best interest? Would you like to take the path of going directly into a hard fight after being out of the ring for a while, or would you want, maybe, I don't want to say a lighter touch?
My personal approach is I just want to take the fights that are gonna propel me forward. That are gonna open the doors to get these world championship fights. So that's the harder fights. I would love to take the harder fights. I believe that I'm ready for them. I had always believed that I was ready for them.
Mhm.
when I had like 6, 7 fights, I wanted to fight Antonio Roscoe. I felt like I could beat him. I won. I've always wanted to prove myself.
You have way more personality and you're way more interesting than I think people give you credit for because you're a pretty quiet guy, especially during fight weeks. You're focused on what the task at hand. What is it that people don't know about you that you wish that they did that sometimes doesn't come across?
I'm kind of goofy sometimes. Like, obviously, aside from being professional, I guess a lot of the times that people see me, I'm being professional. When I get to be myself, that's when I'm like a complete different person. Like a lot of my friends, they don't see me like that. They tell me all the time, I don't see you boxing. Like, I don't see you like the same person when you do interviews and all that. I'm a legit complete different person. And Twitter, I try to keep it not too professional, but to the point where I'm just not being like a dumbass on social media. But that's you can see my personality on Twitter too.
For sure. I went through some of your tweets and I saw a little premonition of yours. You said you wanted to fight Thurman in 2021. I talked to Thurman about a week ago. Why is that the fight? I'm not going to ask you what you see in him, but why do you think that is the fight for you that could be defining for you?
I think I've wanted that fight since like 2018, and I feel like I feel like it's just the best fight to make. To propel me forward. I feel like he's a good challenge. I mean, he's only lost to Pacquiao. He's only lost to Pacquiao, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, right? He's only lost to Pacquiao. He's had some good fights too. He had some entertaining fights. I've never really said this before, but before I moved up to the welterweight division, because I wasn't really looking at them as opponents, he was my favorite fighter
Mhm.
at the welterweight division because he was the most exciting. with Danny Garcia and Spence. I mean, not Spence. I keep thinking Porter Spence.
Mhm.
Porter. He was my favorite fighter at the time at welterweight because he was just so exciting. He was explosive and he threw a lot and he was always in those exciting fights. And now that I'm seeing it, maybe I'm kind of relating why I want to fight him to that. I never really thought about it until now,
Mhm.
but I mean that's kind of why he's exciting and kind of just want to prove myself against him. And I honestly do feel like I can beat him.
Mhm. With those guys, Thurman is explosive. Who else do you find enjoyable? Because with those top guys, they represent a variety of styles. We have Crawford with the killer instinct, and Porter has a sort of unrelentless type of smothering approach in the fight. Spence fights to the level of whoever he faces. If he has to box, he'll box. If he has to brawl, he'll brawl. If he has to slug, he'll do that. Who do of those different types of styles? What do you like to watch?
I like to watch Spence's style because I feel like I kind of relate to it. You can't just fight one way. Although I think I'm the opposite to him because he fights at their style. I've In terms of me, I fight at a style that'll beat their style. You know, although I do like the idea of beating someone at their own game,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I kind of try to play a little smart. Just I can do that, but just just counter it too at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain.
Mhm. With that, so is it would are you a chess player? Do you play chess? And
I
do you
know
think
how,
of
but
those types of
honestly,
moves?
I'm not too good at chess. I do know how to play, but I'm not that smart at it. There's so many things to look at. I'm not good at it.
Recently, we just saw, so we'll talk about you and Boots Ennis now because you both seem to be on sort of parallel paths. He's a up and coming contender like yourself. Do you see that do you think you guys have similar paths? Do you think your path might be more difficult since the majority of the competition you need is over on the PBC side? How do you view your path to the top versus his path?
Well, there are some similarities. We're both upcoming contenders. Possibly, I think that there'll be a super fight between me and him in the future. I'm not sure when, but how do I say? Like, I don't think that. Well, first of all, let me say this. I feel like the opposition is obviously different. I feel like I've proven myself a little more than he has. Not saying that he's not good. He's a good fighter. He is a good fighter. I feel like he needs to fight a little more opposition, better opposition. But I mean, there's really no doubt in my mind that we're on a collision course. Like you said, it's I wouldn't even say it's parallel. It's kind of like this. This
Mhm,
is parallel. Like we're gonna meet, but it's gonna be all the way up there. And I mean, I respect what he's doing, and I mean, we'll see.
mhm. With how long do you foresee your path to a title fight being? 1 year, 2 year? Obviously, the pandemic has slowed things down. How many more fights do you think you need, or is that title opportunity next for you?
I really don't know. I'm hoping within the year. I've like 3 years ago, I said that I would get a title shot opportunity in 2 years. That 2 years was up like last year. It's kind of hard. It's really hard to say when I don't want to say that I'm avoided, but I feel like that I'm like a high risk, low reward type of fighter. Like I mean,
Mhm,
I'm 16-0, 16 knockouts. What does a champion have to gain from fighting me? Like I have everything to gain and they have everything to lose. If they fight me, then yeah, they can say, okay, so let's say if they beat me, then oh, he was supposed he was supposed to beat me. I'm only 22, he's a champion, so he doesn't really get any credit for that. If
mm.
I beat him, then it's. I mean, obviously they just lost their title. They lost to a 22-year-old, so that they have everything to lose. So I feel like it's gonna be really hard for me to get a title fight. So we're gonna do everything we can to put ourselves in that position.
You honestly think even as prospect of the year, because I think the industry was pretty unanimous and unified when you were named the prospect of the year. I don't think there were, I mean, obviously other names were in the conversation, but even at this point, you still think that it's a high risk, low reward to face someone like you, even with those accolades.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel like right now, everything is just about keeping their O's. Just trying to maximize their paydays, just to keep the money coming in, just to hold on to the belt as much as they can. So if they see someone like me, maybe if I was a little older, and then yeah, like okay, you have to fight this guy. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like I'm 22. I've won all my fights by knockout. I don't hold like a major world title right now. They really don't have a reason to fight me, and
Mhm.
that's where I'm stuck at. But like I said, we're gonna take harder fights as we can. We're gonna prove to, I mean, not only to the fans but to the fighters that I'm here and I'm worthy to fight for the title. So we're trying to make our way up there.
Let me ask you a question from the boxer perspective. So we just had the Hall of Fame class announced, and Floyd Mayweather, Vladimir Klitschko, Andre Ward, all going into the Hall of Fame deservedly. And there was a lot of discussion on Twitter that Cotto didn't go in and James Toney didn't go in. And a
Yeah.
number of people were disappointed that Tony didn't go in. And then there were some that say you shouldn't go into the Hall of Fame if you've had positive PED tests during the course of your career. What are your thoughts on that? If you've had a substantial career, maybe had an incident where there was a PED test or et cetera, do you think that's a disqualifier for going into the Hall of Fame, or do you even have any opinions on that?
I've never really thought about it. Um all I don't condone the use of PEDs. That's straight up cheating.
Mhm,
Um as far as I I mean, obviously that's the thing. I don't really know his career like that. So, like, was it one fight? Was it just a little incident? Would he test positive like after a fight or right before a fight? Like, did it help him or what? Did he knowingly do it? I mean, I'm sure he's gonna say he didn't, knowingly do it. It just it's a there's a lot of it's open ended. There's so many things that go into mind. So I would just say that he should be allowed because he did work hard all his life to do it. We can't really say that he's used PEDs his whole life to get there. We can't say that his key to success was PEDs. I'm sure he was a good fighter that he deserved to be up there. So I would say no.
mhm. And lastly, so we are still currently in our conditions. Things are loosening up. We're getting some boxing events. Crowds are being shut back down again in some areas. It's okay to have crowds. How is Virgil Ortiz the second keeping himself occupied with? We've got guitar, we've got PlayStation, we've got Twitter. But as an athlete, how are you keeping yourself ready? And where do you go within yourself to keep yourself focused and mindful of what the ultimate goal is?
I've been training almost every day, and I've literally last week I sparred every day. You know,
Mm,
I'm still being ready. I feel sharp. I feel really sharp right now. I sparred yesterday. It was the best I ever felt. And I mean, really, that's it. You know, we're just doing the same thing that we do in California. We're doing it here in Texas. We're sparring. We're doing lots of rounds of mitts. When we do mitts, we don't even do rounds. We kind of turn off the bell and we just get a timer. We do it for like an hour straight. I think
mm.
2 weeks ago we did it for 2 hours straight. I was dying, but yeah. Then that was after doing bags and stuff. But yeah, we're just staying ready. I mean, when I say we're gonna be a world champion pretty soon, we mean it. You know, we're coming for it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Virgil, for your time. You are a very exciting fighter, and the sport is definitely better with you in it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.